My name is Jessica. I'm in biological systems engineering. I'm a senior this year. And so some of the different concentrations you can go into with biological systems are biotechnology, environmental health, food engineering, watershed science and engineering, which is the one I focus on, and health professions. So a lot of students they went into this major before we had the biomedical major, but this is still a good choice. If you go the pre-med route, then you'll be trained and have those classes that would qualify for the MCAT and things like that. You can focus on all the different areas, and in our intro class, we have a lab where we do like one lab from each of the different areas, so you kind of get a feel of which one that you'd want to go into. A lot of people ask like what's the difference between this and civil, and my advice is if you're very interested in like getting in there and really learning more about the environment, if you're focused on the more environmental side, then I would highly suggest biological systems. Some of our labs, well, most of our labs are hands-on. The labs that I'm taking right now, we go outside and go into the streams and the ponds and take the measurements and examine the water quality and things like that, so we actually get to go and do those things. So if you're interested in that, then BSc would be a great choice. Also, if you're interested in like pharmaceuticals or any other of those different medical types of health professions, then biological systems would be great. And then different types of food engineering. So we've had students who worked with at like Lay's or Hershey, and also sometimes, or no, for this year, some of our senior design projects, they have to make, I think, like a low calorie gummy bear. So that's pretty interesting that they get to do things like that too. Does anybody have any questions about the major or about college in general? Okay, is there a cap on how many students get accepted into the BSc program? I don't think so. Our major is pretty small for the overall engineering. If you do your freshman year here, everyone's in general engineering. And after in the spring, if you have a 3.0 or higher, then you automatically get admitted into the major. So I don't really think there's a cap for it. We usually have our classes is usually about 70 students, 50 to 70 students per class who declare the BSc major.
Jessica, I'll ask you a question that was sent in before. Is it possible to double major in chemical and biological systems engineering and minor in environmental policy and planning?
It is possible, although the classes are very different. I don't know if you'd want to do both of them. If you do both of them, you'll be here longer than the 4 years and you're already scheduled to be. So I would probably choose what you really want to focus on in between the two majors. You can minor in chemistry. A lot of our students minor in chemistry. It's just a few extra classes. And then we also have some students who minor in the environmental policy and planning. That's one of the classes that you can take as your electives as well. So it's easy to minor. It's easier to minor in something than to major in something, but you can't minor in chemical engineering though.
How did you really decide what major you wanted to be in?
When you're a freshman, you have to go to a Foundations of Engineering course. And in that course, they'll have you go to 3 different information sessions hosted by each major. So I was in between like chemical, civil, and biological systems. So trying to figure out which one is the best for me. So after going through all 3, I was really sold on biological systems because it really focused more on the strictly environmental side of things and the things that I cared about. And I also got to talk to some upperclassmen and got to talk to the advisor, and she's super nice, and she really helped me narrow down and figured out what I wanted to do.
Does engineering necessarily require high-level math and everyday studies? She said that she's having a little trouble with calculus.
I would say you're going to take a math class. You're going to at least take 1 or 2 math classes every semester up until like your junior, senior year-ish. So you're going to have to do math, and it all builds up on each other. So if you're having trouble in calculus, I wouldn't say, oh, because I can't do calculus or I'm having trouble in calculus, I shouldn't be an engineer. That's definitely not the case. Everyone's not perfect. We all need practice. Like I don't like math. I wasn't that great in calculus either. So I would still just try and do your best. We do have math classes, and then if we don't have math classes, we usually have math integrated into our like other classes. But the teachers really work with you, so and they do a lot of practice problems and examples in class so you won't fall behind.
Do you think it's really hard to get into this major?
No. Once you like if you have a 3.0 at the end of your freshman year, then you'll get in automatically. Well, you'll have to apply for it and then get in. And then if you don't have a 3.0 at the end of your freshman year, because I didn't, it's okay. You can still reapply up until your junior year if you want to get your GPA up, or maybe you want to take another class like over the summer or something like that. Then that's no problem.
Are there undergraduate research opportunities within BSE?
Yes, so we have a few faculty who do, well, most of the faculty do undergraduate research. I only know about the water side of the undergraduate research, so we do have some professors working on like the local streams and ponds that are around the Blacksburg area and seeing, what's going on with those. Personally, I do research in the civil department, so you can do research in whatever department you want to, and I focus on water filters and public drinking water for my research.
Have you participated in internships or co-ops, and if so, can you describe them?
Okay, no, because my internship got
Yeah.
canceled this year. So I can't really talk that much about that.
Can you talk about how you landed that internship had you been able to follow through with it?
Right, right, right. We have a bunch of career fairs on campus. Usually each major has their own career fair if they're big enough. So BSC is pretty small, so we don't have our own career fair, but we do have other career fairs that we can go to that we would be able to get a job at. So for example, we usually go to engineering expo, we go to like the science majors career fair, the like natural sciences career fair, and then we also go to the civil one too. And we those are just a few that we can go to. And so what I did is I didn't get one my freshman year personally because I just didn't try that hard. But you can go. How I did it is I went and I kept going to like the same companies that I knew I wanted to work at. And then so the recruiter, she remembered me from last time, and I kept applying over again every year, and then I got it finally. But COVID. So yeah.
Can you do undergraduate research in BSE even though still a general engineering major?
Yep, you can. You can just, if you're interested in some type of research, all you have to do is contact the professor, ask for a meeting with them just to explain your interest. And they'll usually take you on, since you're in general engineering, they may just take you on as like a volunteer. And it may be good for you since it's your first year just to do it on a volunteer basis so you won't have like a whole bunch of commitments. But yeah, you can do it for a credit, you can do it for a volunteer, or you can do it for pay.
What sort of minors pair well with this major?
A lot of students who go the pre-med track have a biomedical minor. A lot of students have the green engineering minor. Chemistry is also a popular minor. And then environmental sciences or water science. It's not water science. There's a new major that we have that you can have like a water science minor, but that's not exactly what it's called. But something around those realms are usually the most popular minors that we have.
How do water resources and environmental courses in this major compare to similar courses in civil engineering?
So with civil engineering, so how it works necessarily in BSc, it's kind of like they present you with all the different tracks that you can take, and you kind of choose a track that you want to go on, and take classes in those areas. And if you want to do two different things, you can also take classes in food engineering if you want to, and it'll still count, towards your graduation as an elective. And then so for BSc, it focuses more on the environmental aspect, strictly talking about that side of it. So you get to hone in on what you're interested in more quickly versus when you're in civil engineering, they make you take all the other classes like the structures, transportation, geotechnical, and you kind of have to take both of them at the same time. So I knew I didn't want to take classes in that because I didn't really care about construction. So I was like, BSc would be better because I get to focus on that more. And they have more classes. If you're going like the water track, if you then or the environmental track, they have more classes that focus on that more than when you get into civil, and you get to focus on it way early on.
What type of person would you recommend this program for?
Somebody who likes environmental science, who likes earth science, if you like soils, plants, water, I would really recommend this. If you like outdoors and nature, I would really recommend this major. And yeah, and if you want to, if you're debating to do biomedical or biological systems, I would also do this major as well, or just like have it as a second choice.
Have you felt that your classes are preparing you for going out into the industry?
Yes, yes, I do. I feel like they do. Especially with my senior design class, I see how some of the things that I learned in class really show up in real life. And it's cool to see both of those things come together, as well as in my research. The stuff that I'm learning in class now, I'm like, oh, I already know that because I've been doing research on it. So then things start to pair up and make sense. So once you start getting like those internships or those research opportunities, a lot of the stuff that you're learning in class starts making more sense because you're able to apply it and see it in real life.
Jessica, is there anything else you want to add about the major or one last plug for the major?
One thing, just like to go off of one of the other questions before, is just like I wouldn't let a class that you may be struggling with right now deter you from thinking that you're good enough to do engineering because you are. So as long as you keep applying yourself and do what you can to the best of your abilities, then you will be okay.
Do you have any preparation tips for outside classes, for taking your classes?
So like classes that they should take like in high school to prepare
No,
or
like
okay.
what do you do outside of classes to prepare yourself for work in classes?
Oh,
I guess study habits.
okay, study habits and stuff. Okay, so one thing that I do is that after classes, the classes that I have this one notebook that has like a bunch of subject pages, and I write down what I learned from the day. So, like, if I can't write that many things down, then I know I probably wasn't paying attention. So, making sure that I can go back in my notes and skim and just write the major points of what I learned so that when it comes to study for the test, I can just refer back to that and review and be prepared.
Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Yeah.